comment on it?
I think those are the extent of my thoughts, because I know these modern Orthodox rabbis and their wives who lead, somewhat autonomous lives and have their own careers, and I know them and I like them, and I love autonomy and freedom myself. I know as a congregant how much I appreciate it when there is a rebbitzin. Like, I really do appreciate it. And one of the things I love about Orthodox Judaism is you know who you are. Like, there are certain expectations and behavioral and hashkafic in the way you view life. And so I like people who embrace who they are and what their responsibilities are. So I love to be in a shul where there is the rabbi's wife is a rebbitzin. So I miss that when the rabbi's wife is not a rebbitzin.
Fair enough. Let me give you my thing on this, my take. I'm a rabbi, so when I get married, right, if I ever get married, yeah, I'd want a rebbitzin, right? Yeah. My plan was always I'd like to have a woman who meets what you call the where are you going, by the way?
Getting water.
Oh, okay. Meets what you would call the more stereotypical, traditional rebbitzin role. Rebbitzin Rabs, rebbitzin Reamer would, make the chalis, make the challah on whatever Thursday. She would invite. We'd have some Shabbos guests.
Right.
She could talk to the ladies, right? Be an inspiration to them during the week on the phone, or in person. We'd have women coming over to the house. She could counsel them, because people come to me all the time.
Right. And
they're always saying, Rabbi, this, they need my help, they have questions, and then I could direct all of the female questions to her, especially like when it comes to women's stuff, like the Nida period. I'd rather have her teach the women and me teach the men, right? So that's what I always wanted. It happens to be that when I got engaged to someone who you might look at and say, oh, well, she doesn't meet the rebbitzin role.
I didn't condemn those people.
Okay, but wait a second. I just want you to hear me out. Because she was going to be the one making money in the family, and she was going to be the one working in a professional capacity, right? But she also wanted to be the rebbitzin. And she could do both because she's not going to have kids. So she doesn't have her hands tied up with all that, kid business. So therefore, she could go to work in her professional capacity during the day, come home, and at night, she could counsel other women. She could bake the chalis. She could, we could have guests over on Shabbos. She was even very intelligent and knew a lot of Torah, and she could even give Devar Torah, to women's groups. She could learn with them. She could explain to them why Zionism is heresy and these kind of things. She was like the complete package. Now I want to ask you, does that still this rebbitzin role? So the fact that she would be professional, does that take away from that role? That she could also be,
Not necessarily.
Dr. Reamer, Dr. Reamer and Rabbi Reamer.
How would you like to be treated by someone named Dr. Reamer?
Well, she wouldn't be treating you. She's a physicist. She would be a PhD.
Well, what if she was like, what's a butthole doctor?
I don't know. Why would you bring that up?
Oh, Reamer.
Oh, God.
So, an oncologist. Just imagine you get to an oncologist and she's called Dr. Reamer, and she says, okay, I need to check your prostate. It's like, Reamer. It's like your doctor.
So is that what you're going to reduce yourself, going down to kids stuff? Like we're gonna make fun of guys' names? Is that
there's a Rabbi Fingerer?
We're going down to name calling now. We're down to make fun of your name.
Just imagine if you run the kids program. This is Rabbi Fingerer.
Okay. Anything else?
Let's talk about Michelle Bachman and the hurricane.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So, what did she say, that it was an act of God?
She said
divine warning.
What was the exact quote? She said something like, it's an act of God. God is angry. That was the word.
Okay. God is
angry, and I think it was something because we've elected the wrong people to Washington.
Oh boy. Okay. So was she serious or was she kidding?
I don't know.
Okay, let's just say she was serious. That would not be the way I'd speak, and I would think that a person who would speak that way is unsophisticated. But I think it's beautiful when you can see God's hand in as much of life as possible. I remember one morning I didn't get up early and go to Minyan, and so when I finally did get up and go outside, I had a parking ticket, and I saw that as like a divine message to me that I should get up early and go to Minion, because when I got lazy and just slept in and didn't get up and go to Minion, I got a parking ticket. So I chose to see the parking ticket as God, warning me. But what I hate is, I remember sometime I bought something, and I was telling my friend, how I was hoping to use it to seduce women. And my friend, and then I was carrying this thing across the road, and I almost got hit by a car. And he said, "Oh, that was God, warning you not to use this thing to seduce women." And so I don't like it when other people suddenly start saying, "Oh, that was God sending a message to you." It's fine when I, the individual, see God's hand in what's going on.
I can expand on that point.
Go ahead.
I can expand. No, when you're done, I'll expand.
Done.
Okay. When there's two things here that you talked about that I actually agree with for once, and I want to expand on both. You said that you were glad that she saw the God in it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything in this world, everything in the universe, is an act of God. To deny that something is an act of God is the height of atheism. It's the height of ignorance. To say Michelle Bachmann is an idiot, she's crazy because she said the hurricane is an act of God when clearly it was an act of Mother Nature, is the height of idolatry, that you've not only taken God out of the picture, you've credited it with some female called Mother Nature. You pray to Mother Nature. You believe in another God called Mother Nature and Father Time. Okay? So those are your gods. You are not a believer in God. You are a polytheist. Last week, by the way, I said polygamist. You didn't even catch me. Because the truth is, I made a point, if you're an atheist, you're actually a polytheist. Because everything becomes your God. Because you don't see the one God behind it. So you have all these infinite amount of little individual gods. And I called it a polygamist. And nobody caught me on it. I don't think we have any viewers anymore. Because nobody caught me on it. It's a polytheist. Okay. So that if you don't believe that the hurricanes and the tornadoes and the whatever are an act of God, then you're an atheist, and the truth is you're a polytheist. Now, so everything is an act of God. Now, I absolutely believe that God is angry. The Torah says, the Talmud says that when you see these terrible things, when there's terrible events that take place, a person should immediately do what's called cheshbon nefesh, which is take an account, a personal account of a soul search. You should do a soul search and go over what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Do a whole accounting, because obviously something you are doing is not right. It doesn't say that one should take an accounting of their neighbor. Levi, I don't think that you're doing a real good job, with keeping your mouth off of the naughty topics. That's not for me to say.
Right.
That's for Levi to say, right?
Right.
It's for Rabs to say, Rabs, maybe it's time for you to keep your, mouth off the naughty topic. That's when what's the lesson here learned out for me? What's the lesson learned out for me? When there's a terrible disasters afflicting me, what is God trying to tell me? Okay? That's the lesson you look at. And that was what you did for yourself. That's what you the parking ticket thing, right? I don't know if you're right or you're wrong with that, but you did it for yourself.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. If I got hit, if a tornado ripped down Pico Robertson tomorrow, tornado ripped through Pico Robertson, I'd go, okay, that's out of the ordinary, right? Maybe that God's trying to tell us something, right? What is he trying to tell us, right? What's he trying to tell me, right?
Yeah, I really need to incorporate that into my life, because I kind of live my life fending off the bad results that I get from my choices, and it's I kind of got this wall up of defense against God telling me anything, and I just keep telling him, you're on the right track, Levi, you're a great man, you're doing great things, pay no attention to all the horrible results you're getting from your choices. God's not trying to tell you anything except that you're wonderful, because I've got this wall up, and maybe I could start to let that go, so that I can really do more of a soul searching when bad things happen, and I can use it to transform my life from the muck.